What up? Welcome to 69th Base, Episode 6. This is the podcast where I shred arguments from people like Skip Bayless, Will Cain, Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd, and more. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. We got a great guest. We got an awesome show. We're gonna discuss an idiotic debate over whether Jerry Jones was joking when he told a joke. Yeah, right. That doesn't make any sense. Stay tuned. We're gonna talk about Will Cain complaining about instant replay yet again. Also, Will Cain having another contrarian point of view. Surprise, surprise. And Colin Cowherd and why he is more immature than Baker Mayfield. We're going to talk about preseason overreaction. And we're also, and I am so stoked on this, we're going to take a dive in with the guest on a day in the life of Woody Paige. It's so fun. My guest did a great job with it. And we haven't talked about Woody Paige, I don't think, so far on the podcast. So that's a newbie. It's going to be really great. But before I get into that and get angry over all these idiots, I just want to dive into my personal life for just a moment and talk about this weird story that happened to me this past week. Guys, I think I am cursed. I have an album called Fart Safari, and then a second album called Fart Safari 2, Fart Harder, and I have a soon-to-be third album, Fart Safari 3, Fart Harder with a Vengeance, to be taped in November. And, you know, I've always loved fart jokes and whatnot, but ever since these albums started coming out, I think I've just been cursed with some sort of weird magnetism towards shit stories or fart stories. So this most recent one, I was in San Francisco with my wife and brother and sister-in-law. We're having a great time at a show this past Wednesday night at the Setup in San Francisco, opening for my buddy David Huntsberger, who was the first and second guest on the podcast. Really good time. Great show. Thanks to everybody that came out. So fun. But our first night there in San Francisco was the night before we got in early. We were hanging out in the little, I don't know what the area is called, but it's kind of like Times Square in New York. It was like across from like Saks on 5th or whatever. Nice enough little area. We're hanging out, but we don't notice. We see some homeless people, which is there's a big homeless population in San Francisco, and but we don't think anything of it. There's a family there. We're not alone. There's a good decent amount of people there, but there's this family there with their children. They're running around playing, having a great time. But then there's this security guard that is just screaming at this homeless woman that I mentioned earlier, and she apparently was taking a shit in the bush, which none of us would have noticed had he not really highlighted it. Like, he was screaming about what she was doing there, and just drawing attention to this otherwise discreet shit in the bushes, you know, like none of us would have been the wiser, but he's just yelling at her, ma'am, but the children. He's so upset about what she might be doing, scarring these children that were 50 yards away in the same area-ish. But the children weren't going to go run head first and jump into the shit bushes. None of that. Like, no, everybody was fine. He made it worse. He was overreacting. And also, she's homeless. Where is she going to shit? She's got to shit. I mean, like, we had some really rich Thai food. There was a chance I was going to have to take a shit there. I don't want to draw on my attention, you know, and everybody else's attention that I'm taking a shit. Like, let her take the shit. She wasn't screaming, I'm taking a shit. She was just putting her pants down and laying one on that bush. Maybe that bush deserved it. I don't know. But he was very upset. He apologized to the family, like, oh, guys, if you could keep your children away from that woman over there. But, man, it was just, he just made it, I just thought it was too much. It was too much. But my favorite part was, after all that, like, we're kind of like, it's becoming comedic in a weird way. And he yells into his walkie-talkie eventually, I've got a 601 here. And that just became this running joke where if you have to take a shit, you have a 601. You got a 601 here, you know? So that's a new code you can use if you got a shit and you can't say that. Just say you got a 601. So let's start that trend. Anywho, that's my most recent shit fart story. There you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you haven't already turned off the podcast by now. Anyway, let's get into the meat of the podcast. Let's dive into all the idiots that we talk about here on 69th Base. And the rant of the week this week is kind of more of a shout out and just kind of showing some love to some special people. And those special people are Jenny Taft and Molly Karam, who host Undisputed and First Take. And I think they do a great job for what they have to try to do, which is a very difficult task, reining in idiots talking about dumb shit. And look, I love Shannon, but he's been roped into this, and he has to talk about dumb shit, and it sucks. And it's so weird that these women have to basically their job is to be pretty and try to calm down these jackasses, you know? And it's almost like uncomfortable to where they're trying to pipe in every once in a while, give their opinion, and it's like, no, hold on a second, the men are talking. But they aren't talking, they're screaming. And about nothing. Like, it's so weird. It is so weird. Like, half the time the topics don't even make any sense. They shouldn't even be discussed, and yet here they are. And meanwhile, these possibly real journalists, who could, bring in a good point of view, don't really get a chance. And it's weird to me. The biggest thing that they'll be able to say is, they'll open the topic up for discussion, and then they start screaming at each other. And then at the end, they just say, okay, gentlemen, we have to leave it here. That's as much as they get. Before that, they'll try to chime in. They're like, you know what? Also, nothing. They can't get shit in. And then meanwhile, when Will Cain gets to host First Take, he gets to weigh in. So why is that? That's kind of unfair. It's really weird. I think they should let him talk. That would be nice. I feel bad for him. That's a really shitty job, and I wonder how they feel on the inside while Skip says really stupid shit that they don't believe in. That's not easy. Just got. I know. I'm sure they get paid okay, but that can't be fun. Still, you're just sitting there brewing on the inside, oh God, I have so much better shit to say than this idiot. But meanwhile, I'm getting paid less, and I got to sit here and just listen to this nonsense. And half the time, the camera's not even on them. Doesn't even make sense. So I just want to show them some love. You guys are doing great. Just want to give a little shout out. That is my rant of the week. And let's get into it. I'm about to bring on my guest. You guys, this could be such a fun show. Stay tuned when I bring him on. And we're back with my special, very funny comedian buddy, guest friend. What?
Nailed it.
This is going great. Chris Charpentier, everybody.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. I appreciate you having me.
Chris is from Denver comic, very funny dude. Yeah, so as a Denver sports aficionado, we were talking about this a little before getting on here, but any favorite sports team,
I'm all Colorado except for the Rockies.
Except for the Rockies, huh?
Yeah, because they weren't around when we were growing up.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I had already pledged my allegiance to the Red Sox.
Oh, wow.
My dad is a Red Sox fan. He was from Rhode Island.
Crazy.
So just grew up Red Sox, but Rockies are a close second, and then Denver, everything else.
Yeah, I remember when the Rockies and the Marlins, they come out at the same time?
Yep.
I think, yeah.
And then the Marlins have won 2 or 3 World Series.
Yeah.
And just keep blowing up their team.
Yeah.
After they win. It's incredible. It's incredible what they do.
Yeah. So you're familiar with Skip Bayless.
Yes.
You didn't know so much about Will Cain, who I despise. Those are the top 2 guys I make fun of.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
And we were talking a little bit about Woody Paige, which I have not brought up on the podcast yet, but really should. We might get into that later. But yeah, he's just... and again, we'll get into this later, but he's a strange individual.
He's a real lump on a log, is what I would call him. You could do with him, do without him. He's, He's
kind of one of the worst at bad jokes on any of those programs. Where he just thinks he's so funny, and clearly him and there's a guy Bob Ryan that's on that same show.
The Around the Horn?
Yeah,
on that show?
yeah. That's also 1,000 years old and just out of date, and it's kind of like sad. Like they both seem perfectly nice, but it's just like when they make cracks and they're trying to be like reaching a certain audience, and it's like, man, you're way off. Yeah. Poor guys. Poor rich fellas.
Poor
probably.
rich fellas living their dream life.
Yeah, those poor assholes. Before we get into all of these guys for real and start talking trash and whatnot and breaking down their idiotic takes, I want to get your take on a story.
Yes.
I don't even know how you're going to weigh in on this, but I was in San Francisco doing a show, and the night before, we got in a day early. I was with my brother and sister-in-law and my wife, and we went to this dinner, and then afterwards we were in, like, I don't know what it's called, but I'll equate it to, like, Times Square, New York, you know, like of San Francisco. It's just like this little square in the middle of town, kind of fancy. It's like across from, like, Saks Fifth Avenue and stuff, and, like, Cheesecake Factory and all that fun stuff. And it's like late. It's like 10 or 11, and there is a homeless woman, and this security guard. And there's like a little bit of a hubbub. I don't know I've never said hubbub. I don't know what that was. But the guy is being very animated. And there's not a lot of people around. There were some children, but they were kind of far off, at least 50 yards from this woman. But the guy is screaming at the homeless woman. He's, again, security guard. And we finally put it together. She's taking a shit in the bushes. And he is going, what I thought, over the top with it. Like, it was all horrible, but at the same time, where's she gonna go, you know? Like, if anything, we're invading her privacy. That's her bathroom as far as we know.
Right.
And he's just so upset about it, which, you know, it's not pleasant, but, she's homeless. It's horrible. And so at one point, he's just yelling at her, "You gotta think about the children! There's children here, ma'am!" And there were children, but again, they're far away. Like, if anything, he was drawing attention to all of it.
Sure.
And then later he just he gets on his walkie-talkie. He goes over and apologizes to the parents of these kids. And I think they were just like, okay, man, whatever. Like, right. I wouldn't have known that was happening. My children weren't gonna fucking run and jump in that shit bush. Like, anyway, it was far away. Like, you're making this a nightmare. Yeah. And then he called her in his walkie-talkie. Yeah, I got a 601. And now whenever we have to shit, we just say we have a 601. But I don't even know how to weigh in for you with that. I guess that's an overreaction, right? Though?
Seems overreacting, for sure. Especially, I mean, I don't have a ton of experience, but my little bit of experience with San Francisco is you're going to see people shitting. And if you grow up in San Francisco, it's probably not that weird to see a woman shitting in the bushes. Right. That's just part of the life there. Yeah. So there's really no reason to yell at her. Especially if it's in the process, you should let her finish. Yeah. Let her... What are you going to do? What's she going to do? Just stop and be like, oh, my bad. Like, let me pick up what I have gotten out. Right. and then I'll go and finish somewhere else as well. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Just let the poor woman do her thing. Yeah, I wouldn't have known it was happening, but once he drew attention, I looked over and I was like, oh, she is shitting. Like, put it together because of him screaming about it. Yeah. So it's like I could have gone about my night, never known it was happening. I thought she was being discreet. Yeah. But it's just funny to see a woman with her pants down just being yelled at. Yeah. She's like, oh, okay. But now we got a new term for the poops. For pooping. Got a 601. It became a recurring theme on the trip. Anyway. Hate to have an urgent 601. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Emergency 601 is... It's got a 701. Well, thanks for weighing in. And now my little rant of the week, it wasn't even really a rant. And I usually, like, up top, I'll rant about the
dumbest thing that came out of one of these guys' mouths.
Sure.
Which is very difficult to choose from because it's all very stupid. But this week it was more almost apologetic towards the hosts of Skip Bayless' show Undisputed and First Take with Stephen A. Smith and those guys. Molly Karam and Jenny Taft, they're the hostesses of these shows. The hosts, I just feel so sorry for them, I guess, because they don't get a word in. I don't know. It feels very just like, hey, you guys be pretty.
Yep.
And the men are going to talk.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. They're the worst at that.
Yeah, it makes me so uncomfortable, and I just kind of wanted to give them a shout out. Like,
good. They were probably better journalists.
Oh, for sure.
In every capacity.
Yeah, when they do try to weigh in, and a lot of times they don't get to. Like, a lot of times they'll, and they're just screaming nonsense at each other over an argument that makes no sense, and then either Molly or Jenny or whoever will just like, but here's a real point to make, and they're like, they'll either never get it out or they'll say it, but they just go right back to what Skip or whoever was saying.
The thing that the take that they most often get on the air is, guys, we need to go to a commercial.
Yes.
It's like, that sucks. That's not fair. Yeah. That's the only thing that they ever get to say.
Yeah, theyll say, okay, gentlemen, we have to leave it here.
Right.
It's like the most,
it's not fair.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an easy gig, but at the same time, like, some of these segments are like 20, 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're just screaming nonsense. And they just have to sit there and put a smile on their face. Like, that to me is the hardest job on that show, is just to like look like you're entertained. Like, I'm sure they're getting paid well, but probably a very small fraction of what these guys are getting.
Oh yeah, not even close. There's no way it's even close.
And meanwhile, like, sometimes Will Cain, who I hate, will fill in on First Take. And when he fills in, he's allowed to like be a part of it and weigh in. So it's like, why can't they have a stab at it? Like, why put them on? Like, it doesn't even,
because they're pretty.
Yeah,
and that's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate that that's the way that it is. Why are all sideline reporters women?
Right.
To the point where now if one is a man, it's like, what did he get? What happened? Why is there a guy doing it? It's all very confusing.
Maybe
they're like somehow are now just these roles that you expect.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe after O.J. Simpson was a sideline reporter, they're like, maybe we should take
lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah. O.J. did this.
God damn it, O.J.
I just wonder what it's like when they get home. If they've got a husband or partner or whatever, they get home and they're just like, fuck Skip Bayless. Well, like, do they really hate these people or?
Yeah. I'm sure this is hopefully for them just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll do this shitty show until I can write for my own thing or have my own thing. God, I hope so too.
I really hope it's not just something where they do it and they just get, it's almost like taking a step back for whatever reason because they're like, you accepted this shitty, I don't know.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not as well because, like we said earlier, they're probably better. Yeah. They're probably like better sports minds or probably just better people in general.
Yes, absolutely. They can't be worse, that's for sure. All right, going on to the worst takes of the week. Boy, was this first one was so funny to me. This was actually, I think I heard the snippet today. On Undisputed, I've got a headache fucking thinking about it. On Undisputed, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. First topic, out of the gates. Why would you even discuss this? Zeke Elliott is holding out right now from the Cowboys for a new contract. Jerry Jones was interviewed about the Zeke situation. They drafted, I think, a fourth rounder, Tony Pollard, who has been filling in for Zeke during his holdout, playing in the preseason games. And he's been playing okay. And so they asked Jerry Jones about Zeke and his contract thing. And Jerry jokingly said, Zeke who? Right. And the question was... Oh, and then he said, I'm joking.
Right.
The question on Undisputed, first topic, was Jerry serious?
After he said, I'm joking?
Yes, after he made a joke, the reporters listening laughed. And then he said, I'm joking. And then the question was he serious or was he joking? And it's like, Well, I think because he was making a joke,
right,
and then said that he was joking, it's pretty evident.
Pretty obvious. I mean, as a comedian, I usually can tell that when people laugh after an intended joke, I feel pretty good about it.
Right.
It's like, oh, nice, I nailed it. I usually don't have people come up afterwards and be like, hey, were you serious about that?
Yeah.
It's like pretty obvious. You know when a joke happens.
Yeah.
Boy, that's, man, they're stupid. That's one thing for sure that is, when I was thinking about when you asked me to do this, is that my number one thing probably against Skip Bayless is that he's brought Shannon Sharp into the fold.
I know. I love Shannon
Sharp. And now I can't stand Shannon Sharp because he's on that fucking show with them. I can't watch it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Terrible.
I still...
Come on, Shannon.
I mean, I pull for him, and he always, in quotes, wins in my eyes, I guess. But yeah, like, exactly, like, I thought about that after hearing this, where it was like, God, this really brings Shannon down a peg or 8 or 40. Like,
yeah, how do you argue against somebody?
Because he knows, like, and Shannon, of course, said he was joking. I'll go a little bit deeper. Skip said it wasn't a joke. He was serious. It was going to help them with negotiations later because Pollard is a much cheaper Zeke, and he's the new Alvin Kamara. This is all after a couple preseason games against backups. And honestly, like, that, like, the Cowboys are probably trying to give him easy chances to make him look good so that Zeke will panic or whatever. What is weird, Zeke did take offense to it, which I thought was, I'm a Cowboys fan. Zeke is such an idiot. He's so good, but he's so dumb. But this seriously is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. And especially to have it first topic.
There's nothing more important to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Isn't that the last segment, if we have time?
Yeah, like on Saturday Night Live, you'll have those deep sketches at the end.
They allow a few to be cut for time.
Yeah. This feels like it could easily be cut.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling Skip Bayless, being a diehard Cowboys fan, was like, this is important. We have to do this.
Does it infuriate you that he's a Cowboy fan?
Oh, it's the worst. I've talked about it a lot on here where it's like I feel like I'm a realistic expectations kind of fan.
Sure.
This is a year we could be good, but Skip just every year, wow, Super Bowl. It's going to happen. It's like, man, pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
And with this, of course, like, it was a fucking joke. I'm sure he was trying to rile him up a little bit.
Sure.
But, like, it was a ploy of some kind. But also, Pollard, he might be good. I'm not. I do like to watch preseason because I like to watch the scrubs fight for, like, those last spots.
Sure.
'Cause those are guys that, like, they're either going to be out of league and, like, doing stand-up soon, or they're gonna be, maybe make it and, like, really do something big with their lives. So it's, I love watching those guys really scrap. That's fun for me. But I don't put any stock in any of it. Like, I remember, I think when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls in the 90s, I don't know if they ever won any games. No. Like a lot of times the people that win the Super Bowl, they're not playing their guys. Like, it doesn't fucking matter what happens.
Preseason football is purely for those last few spots.
Yeah.
That's the only reason to watch.
Praying people don't get injured.
Yeah.
But I think Pollard, he's looked good, but what does that fucking mean? Like, until nothing. I feel like now games 1 through 3 are kind of even still preseason. Regular season games 1 through 3 are still kind of preseason. Everybody's figured it out. Yeah. So I feel like games 3 to 5 are where you see if people are good.
Yeah,
and
if you don't have it figured out by then, you probably won't.
Yeah. Although the Patriots every year, like, kind of suck at first, and then
it's amazing.
They just tinker, and everybody panics every year.
Yep.
I'll make that prediction right now. They might not do well up top, and everybody's gonna be like, "Yep, they're done.
Finally.
This is it."
Yep.
And then they'll get really good and they'll win the Super Bowl. Or be in the mix.
Wow, what a crazy going out on a limb pick there.
But every year, like, every year, they're like, Brady's done and Belichick lost his touch and here we are and they suck. And it's like, nope.
They're doing totally fine and they're going to win again. And he's going to win until he's 50 somehow.
Moving on to the next dumb thing. Will Cain After you saw the New Orleans Saints Vikings like crazy fucked up play in the playoffs last year where they botched horrible missed call.
Yep.
Will Cain led the charge for like demanding change for instant replay, like which is now a thing. Like this season, it's going to be the first time where they you can throw flags for all that shit. But so he led the charge with all that, which I thought was so silly because that was egregious and terrible. Mm-hmm. It was blown. It obviously could have affected the outcome of the game, but at the same time, it's human error, and that's part of the fucking game. It sucks. I'm not a Saints fan, so I can't imagine being a Saints fan. But even if it were the Cowboys, I think I'd, of course, be furious and then just be like, well, that fucking happened, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's life. That's sports.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun of sports.
Yeah. It's, it makes it kind of fucking beautiful. But he got furious and just immediately, like, emotionally overreacted, kind of led the charge on his show, got people riled up. And so all these shows are platforms that can stir up controversy and then lead to change, which...
Right.
So he weighed in on that and, like, I think was part of the problem to lead to this new dumb fucking thing they're testing. And I remember, like, Teddy Bruschi and people were telling him, like, no, this will be horrible. It's going to be opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And Will Cain now is saying he hates it.
Perfect.
And after, again, I feel like he should be held somewhat responsible for doing this. And now he's saying the NFL has to get it right 100% of the time because I guess there was some preseason game over the weekend where they fucked up. Even after the replay, they still got it wrong. And it's like, well, it's human error. Again, like there's still going to be problems. It can't be fixed. Just it's better than having us have to rewatch it again and then maybe they get it right, maybe they don't. But then he went on to say, now the NFL has opened Pandora's box as if that were his take the whole time. It's like, fuck you piece of garbage.
That sounds like a real political type move.
Yeah.
Like an actual politician.
Oh, absolutely.
Just what a prick. You have a chance. Your voice has become so powerful that you have a chance to actually create some sort of change.
Yeah.
And then you back the wrong horse.
Yeah.
And then you panic and try to act like it didn't happen the whole time. Yep. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, like a little
He should run for office.
Yeah, he's got a law background. I think he could easily do that. Such a cunt bag. He kind of acknowledged it a little bit back. Like the last time he brought this up, he's like, look, I was the first one to say it needed a change. But now he's just not even bringing that. It's like he's just kind of sneaking by it like, hey, I didn't fucking do this. But
I fucking hate that
But that's why I hate all these guys, because it is kind of like, it's stupid to say dangerous because it's not like it affects anything real in the world. But like, when you throw out these takes, like, it can change things.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the worse. And especially like, you know, Skip Bayless always bashing LeBron and stuff. Like, I don't know. That guy's got kids. That kid's got to listen to you fucking rant against your dad every day, like, and you don't know anything about anything.
LeBron's the fucking man. Also, LeBron could go run for president and would win because he should. He's like a good human person.
He's a great guy.
He's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a prick. He started a school.
Yeah.
And then that school has excelled ever since. With like the graduation rates and all of these things. He's like incredible. And Skip Bayless is a fuck. What does he do? He's done nothing. All he does is put his dick in people's ears. I hate him. He sucks.
Doesn't it feel good to just yell
does feel
Skip
good.
Bayless
I've never been
fuck?
able to really do it. It's really fun. I feel better. And I didn't feel bad before.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Another dumb Will Cain take. Are you caught up to date on the Antonio Brown?
No.
Oh God, this is great.
Okay.
So Antonio Brown, you know, was traded to the Raiders.
Yep.
He was a problem with the Steelers, kind of a locker room idiot. Surprise, surprise! Immediately, he's an idiot with the Raiders.
Yep.
As Shannon Sharp has pointed out, you're not going to behave better once you get more money. Right. If you're already a diva and then you're given an extra $10 million per year, you're gonna turn into a fucking monster. So it's preseason. They're just getting started. He's joining the team. new team. That's when you should really get in there, make your presence known. He posted a picture. His feet are all fucked up because he was in a cryogenic chamber and he was in too long. He didn't put the proper footwear on. His feet are fucked up. It's disgusting.
Oh, Jesus.
I feel like there's some puzzle piece missing to that whole story that we don't know. But so that was already a thing where he couldn't practice, he couldn't do anything.
Wow.
Because his feet are so jacked. And then on top of that, because of CETs and all that, all the new research, they have brought these new helmets into the game. And all the players were given a 5-year warning that they're going to have to move to these new helmets within 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown and Tom Brady didn't like this. I think Aaron Rodgers. There are plenty of players that were like, "Fuck this! Like, I like my helmet." Players have spoken on comfort is important because of vision and all sorts of things.
Sure.
So it makes sense. But everybody has complied with it.
Yeah.
Except Antonio Brown, literally the only person in the NFL. He's like, I'm not playing until they allow me to wear this helmet that will allow me to have concussions. And he's threatened to retire.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that's so funny.
It's the craziest story maybe ever.
Yeah. God, I can't wait till we get to see him doing push-ups or sit-ups in his driveway, T.O.
Yeah.
God damn.
He's the new T.O. for sure.
Wow.
But I really didn't think I would be able to talk about, when this story dropped, it is a sports podcast, but it's pretty specific to all these idiots and their takes.
Sure.
And so as much as I wanted to talk about this, because it's insane, I didn't think I'd be able to because I was like, oh, there's no one that's going to say that's normal.
How could you possibly take his side?
But Will Cain, of course, who always complains that people say that he always takes the contrarian side.
Yeah.
He said he should be allowed to wear his helmet because he knows the risks involved. So, of course, everybody's like, this guy's being a fucking idiot. And, no, he shouldn't be able to, you shouldn't bow to one player. And then Will Cain's like, I think you should.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. What an idiot. How could you possibly... That doesn't make any sense.
And it's all to protect him. This whole thing is just absurd. He's a threat to himself if he wears this helmet. I just don't... This is mind-blowing. This is new.
You don't have to wear your seatbelt, but you will get a ticket if you don't.
Yeah, or
because
die.
You're a fucking idiot. And they try to make sure that you wear it.
Yeah.
And that's just general humans. They have a contract where it's no, this is how it's got to go. That's crazy.
Yeah.
God damn, people are dumb.
And the fact that Will Cain, Mr. I don't know why people say I'm a contrarian. But anyway, even though he's the one guy...
The only person.
Fuck him. His whole other thing is... he always complains that people say he's racist, but he always takes the side that a racist would take.
Oh, sure.
So it's...
That's hard to...
He's a real fun guy. Just a real piece of shit, this guy. Kind of blowing through these, but moving on to the next guy. Are you familiar with Colin Cowherd at all?
Oh, yeah.
He's...
oh, yeah.
What's funny is when I started this podcast, the first episode, I kind of went over that, Colin, I tend to side with a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But in having to do research for this podcast, starting to learn that I don't agree with the guy as much as I thought I did.
Yeah, he's actually the only reason I think he used to be not as... crazy, but then he's, I don't know, somebody must have been like, hey, have crazier takes and you'll get popular.
Yeah.
Or something, because he didn't seem to be that way, and the only reason he's, to me, more tolerable than any of the others is because he's funny. And he is funny. He's made me laugh, real, actual laughs.
He's got some stuff. He's also got some out-of-touch stuff as well, but he does seem a little bit more intelligent than a lot of these guys. Shannon's hilarious, but...
Shannon is funny, but I feel like he does a thing where when he's taking those crazy takes, Cowherd anyway, when he takes these crazy takes, you almost feel like you don't actually believe this.
Right.
You feel like
yeah.
if you were to, as soon as the camera turns off, you'd be like, what the fuck am I talking
Yeah.
about?
Gotta get ratings.
Yeah.
So Colin Cowherd has this ongoing feud with Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
And it's been a public thing where...
Weird.
He didn't like him coming out of the draft because he was immature. He's done a lot of dumb shit. He's been arrested, and he's got a whole long list of dumb shit.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is that Baker Mayfield is immature. He had Baker on the show. They kind of went at it. It didn't go well. Baker has since, I think he sells T-shirts that are like anti-Colin Cowherd. Like,
Awesome.
And it's really weird. And but Baker, I think for a while he wouldn't let it go, which shows that he is immature.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what a mature thing to do to make T-shirts.
Yeah. But then, and I kind of got it at first. I was like, yeah, like I agreed. I think he was a jackass, and it made sense. But Cowherd recently said that I guess Baker was quoted as saying that he was never going to change. He just is who he is, and take it or leave it. And Cowherd said that's a dumb thing to say, and that he's already changing and maturing because I can't remember what the example was. But so he's saying it was stupid to say, and that he is maturing, but he's also talking shit
about how immature he is.
Yeah, about how like that's an immature thing to say because you're maturing. Like it doesn't make sense. And then he said he had to go out of his way to find this article. Like it was written several days ago, but he couldn't find it because it was on some obscure site. So Colin is going way out of his way.
Yeah.
He kept bringing that up, like, it was this dumb, tiny article I had to find. And it's like, well, then why? That shows that he's really trying to drag this feud out, which to me shows immaturity on Colin's side. And at one point, I guess during that article, the reporter tried to goad him into commenting on Cowherd, and he wouldn't do it. And so I feel like that shows maturity on his part. Yeah. And then so I just feel like he's trying to get this attention thrown back on him so desperately. Oh, and then to end the that little segment or whatever, in a mock voice, he's pretending to be Baker Mayfield. He said, "I'm never going to change. I am what I am." And then he said, "That's so adorably 23 or 24-year-old take or whatever." And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
There's none of that makes any sense. You can't have an argument about saying that somebody's immature while telling them that their argument is a mature take, and that's why you're immature. That just doesn't compute at all. It blows my little mind. I'm a dumb person, and I have no idea how you could possibly put all of that into one sentence.
And then to end it with a mocking voice,
perfect.
I wish I could play the clip, but he's just I
do my own thing.
Yeah, it sounded like a 6-year-old making fun of another kid. Yeah, and it was Baker Mayfield's immature. He's a little brat. He's a little shit stick.
I'll never have him back on my show again, but I'm going to talk about him every day.
Please listen.
I'm going to make T-shirts.
Yeah, it just feels like Baker Mayfield hates me. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, guys? Look at me. Is anybody listening? Hello?
Do you have somebody that hates you? But he's not as popular as the guy who hates me.
I gotta buy one of those T-shirts.
I would love to buy one of those T-shirts.
I'm gonna look it up. I haven't looked it up. I really need to get on that. Moving on. This is just kind of a generic, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, but Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma. You either think he's gonna set the world on fire with what's his name, this coach Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech, who didn't have a winning record in college. But now he's going to be good in the NFL, some people think. But I guess they did this on all those shows. Game 1, he was I think 5 of 5 or 6 for 6 in a preseason game. Yep. And people were like, "Oh, here it is. Yep. Here's the new Peyton Manning or Tom Brady." Yep. And then this past weekend, he had a subpar game, and people were like, "Oh, fucking
never going to make it."
Yeah. Yep. So Shannon,
not big enough for the league.
Yeah. Shannon and Skip got into it, and we're just like, It was the weirdest thing where, Skip's making fun of Shannon because Shannon said, it's preseason. He was 5-5 or whatever. Like, don't take any stock. Mm-hmm. Because Shannon's saying, I think this is kind of a medium deal. This could be a thing.
Yep.
So it's like you can't say this is a thing if you said that wasn't it's just like I don't.
Sure.
Again, preseason football doesn't matter at all.
0%.
None of this matters.
Yeah.
He's playing backups. They're not giving real defensive looks or anything.
Yep.
My heart rate's going up. I don't like it when people talk about preseason football as if it fucking matters. Like, it just doesn't. Like we were saying earlier, the only thing that matters are those scrubs going to make the team.
That's it.
And you hope that they all do, but they all can't,
That's the whole reason they're playing, though, is to find that out, and no other reason.
We're not going to know shit about Kyler till maybe the end of the year, maybe not even then, maybe year 3.
That's what I was just going to say.
Like,
year
you don't
3,
fucking know.
That's when you can really tell if somebody's going to be, like, around for a while and a stud, or they were flash in the pan.
Yeah, and you don't know, again, like, he's tied to this coach that may not work out. What if that pairing doesn't work, even though they say it's this magic pairing because that guy courted him out of high school or whatever, but, like, who fucking knows? Yeah, like, maybe he sucks, and then, like, he's traded 4 years later, and then he blows up the league. Like, I don't know.
Absolutely. He finds his Belichick, and then he's the best ever.
Fucking very, very upset.
The thing that blows me away with those shows, too, is whenever they both have the same take, and they still find a way to argue for 15 minutes about it. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
And then Molly and Jenny or whatever, like, gentlemen,
break, gentlemen.
Please. What if, like, they're just holding up a sign in the background? Help me. They haven't fed me. They locked me in a basement. I'm so scared. Skip Bayless has a tiny dick. Do some quick takes. Will Cain. Oh, this is kind of along the same lines. We were just talking about like Kyler Murray in year 3. That's kind of where you can tell. Will Cain. I thought this was so silly. He was prefacing this saying, I guess Andrew Luck is now injured yet again.
Oof, bummer.
But he said Will Cain said that Andrew Luck. He thinks, I guess prior to the injury, maybe Andrew Luck was going to have a breakout year in year 8.
What is that? It can't be a breakout.
Yeah.
You can a comeback. You mean like the comeback year?
He did well last year, but he's always played well.
He's great. Yeah.
But
you don't stay in the league for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then have a breakok.
Yeah, this isn't
you're pretty good.
Whoa, who is this guy?
Yeah, whoa, wait, he's been starting for the last 8 years?
I mean, he did.
I haven't paid attention at all.
He did follow that up with, like, move from top 6 to 10 to top 5, but any of that, it's just dumb. Like,
that doesn't...
If you're a top 10 quarterback, you're really good.
You're a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Year 8. It's my big year. But it does suck. Andrew Luck is just seemingly always injured, and I just think that's how it's going to go.
It's so unfortunate. I feel so bad for any professional athlete that just can't get it. It's like, man, what a betrayal.
Mm-hmm. Colt McCoy on the Redskins.
Yeah.
Boy, they should really change that name.
Yeah, what the hell?
That's still a thing.
God. In Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Our country is terrible.
It's great. I guess it came out like the last couple of days that he will not be ready for the start of the season. He was maybe going to have a chance to start this year. I went to the University of Texas, so I kind of always rooted for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is his breakout in year 8 where he might start, and I was kind of excited for him. And then he got injured again.
God damn.
But the one time I saw him play live, Texas versus Texas A&M, he was out with a concussion. So I think that was always going to happen. This was... you root for those guys, but yeah, it does suck when they just can't put it together.
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
Another thing that Will Cain said, and man, this is weird. A lot of people have said this, but just in passing, so Josh Rosen was the Cardinals starting quarterback. I think he was drafted like in the 10 spot last year in the first round. And then Kyler Murray came in. They ditched him. He was sent to the Dolphins. And many people are just acting. Will Cain just on his show was like, oh, Josh Rosen won't be on the Dolphins next year. Everybody's kind of just in passing saying like, oh, he's going to be on to the next thing. They're going to find their next new quarterback. But it's like, he was a top 10, like, usually if you draft a top 10 quarterback in the first round at all, people will play that guy for years and years and years.
Absolutely.
Until it just is like so abundantly clear that this guy sucks.
Right.
And I don't think that's necessarily the right way. I think you should, like, maybe, because they're on the cheap side, get rid of them quickly and move on to the next thing.
Right.
Give him a few years, though. But it's just so weird. Like, he was a top 10 last year, played on a terrible team with a bad offensive line, and then you're just going to be like, whatever. Like, and the Dolphins got him on the cheap. So what does it hurt to just play him, see if he's good? What if he's the solution and he was cheap? Like, it
makes total sense to me. Yeah. And the Dolphins have nothing else and have had nothing else. So like, why not?
They have nothing going on.
Why not? Like, doesn't make any sense.
I don't know why he's just being written off. It kind of. And that guy's kind of a not fun guy, I guess. Rosen's kind of cocky and shitty, but I got to pull for him a little bit in this case where he's just like, everybody's written him off. It's just kind of weird. I just don't understand it. What does that guy got to do? I'm pulling for you, Josh. I fucking hate the Dolphins because my friend Lance Davis loves the Dolphins. We were talking about this off air or whatever. My buddy Sean liked the Saints, so I hated the Saints. And the Dolphins I hate because of my friend Lance that I live with for a couple years. We just all...
It's important.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just fun to talk trash on friends and their teams. And we decided, like, there was a year where they were, like, looking kind of okay, the Dolphins. My roommates and I were all, if they went to the Super Bowl, we were all going to buy Dolphins jerseys and just pretend like we love them and just jump on the bandwagon and just take the steam out of his, sales.
Take all the fun out of this. Like,
hey, man, fuck yeah, Dolphins, bro.
The Dolphins have always been the best. That's so funny. Show up in a worn-in... broken-in hat. I've had this for years.
Dusted this whole thing off. My dad had this. I'm generational. My buddy Lance broke his hand or thumb tossing a couch over because of a Dolphins game. This is a year where they weren't even that good. Like, I think they were already, like, having a losing they had a losing record, and he just fucking...
He's added up.
Oh, I think he punched the ground. I think that's what it was. He did toss a couch. That was
a different
same
time.
night, I think. But
that was after a victory.
Yeah. That was a happy punch. Oh, man. Let's see what that guy's up to. But, boy, he's going to be in for a long season this season. He's going to have a lot of injuries. These next couple segments are always fun because I like to point... I mean, the whole podcast is pointing out how dumb these guys are.
Sure.
But this part is fun because it's really, like, embarrassing stuff. Like,
wonderful.
These are the embarrassments of the week. And we talked about this a little bit, but I love it when any of these guys try to be hip.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just so... I feel like ESPN is losing viewership because of cable cutters and all that stuff. Like... That's with all of television. All of entertainment in that realm is trying to figure out what is going on right now.
Totally.
But the sports world is really taking a hit, which sucks because I love all of that. But I love when these guys who probably need younger viewers to really latch on, but then they will make references to things that no one's going to understand. Max Kellerman quoted Marlon Brando last week, and I mean, you and I know who that is.
Barely.
A lot of people should know who that is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the young viewers are gonna. And Kellerman kind of seems like hip-ish. Will Cain made a big analogy to the movie Trading Places.
Oh wow, that's very old.
Yeah, it's a fun movie, but no one. It's just so weird when you're the host of something, especially, and what are the executives doing that they're not getting in the way? Like,
right.
I've been to a pitch meeting before, not to get all fucking Hollywood, But I remember I made a reference to Mickey Rourke in the room.
Yeah.
And the woman that was like we were pitching to or whatever was like, hey, man, I'm just going to be very honest with you. I know who Mickey Rourke is, but I wouldn't make that joke anywhere else because a lot of the executives are younger than me and I'm younger than you. And I was like, that changed my mind about a lot of stuff. Like, I've been very careful about references and jokes from then on.
Right.
So if that woman is telling me that and I'm just some guy that's pitching to her that she doesn't know.
Right. On a show that they're not going to buy.
That they didn't buy at all. Then why are the executives not... Like, who the fuck's in charge that they're not like, hey, man, maybe less Brando talk?
Right.
You know, like, Will Cain also did a bad Santa reference, which that was within the last 20 years. Like,
so that's a little bit better.
Bernie Mac was in it. He was referencing him. He's dead. He's long been dead.
Yeah, he's been dead for a while. Jesus Christ.
I think he was talking about what was really funny about that. It was like he was equating it to the Cowboys' negotiating tactics with the Cowboys, but I did not understand what he was talking about because I haven't seen the movie, but he was also kind of acting out a scene.
Oh, boy.
Not good at it.
Yeah.
The joke was repetitive. He kept making the same joke over and over again. It's like, man, you lost me to begin with, but now you're just continually losing me. But I love it because I'm like, oh, man, keep it coming. This is so bad. You fucking...
I think they have to go back that far just because they have to go back to a time where they weren't yelling. And they have to go back like 15 years to remember, like when their brain wasn't rattled from yelling and they can actually use some of their memory.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I remember this. The last movie that I saw was Trading Places. That's right. That was the last good one.
I think it was on Netflix recently. Maybe that's why... Like, you probably watched it recently on Netflix. And
I guess.
But, like, kids aren't going to fucking put on that movie. And,
no.
God. I love it. That's my favorite thing. When a joke falls flat or they make a reference. Like, anyway, Citizen Cain, Gone with the Wind. You remember when Scarlett said, no, shut up.
Look, this year's battle between whomever and it's a lot like Chinatown. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
My sister, your sister, the brother. It's so stupid.
This is becoming my favorite segment.
Okay.
I like to do a dive, whether it's Twitter or Instagram, whatever. Look at these guys' social media.
I love it. Yeah.
Have you ever looked at Skip Bayless's?
No.
I've already talked about this, but I just want to get your reaction. I'm not going to show you because I've got new stuff.
How many followers does he have? Just curious.
I want to say 250-ish.
Fuck.
He's got 3 million on Twitter.
Jesus.
Shannon has like over 1 million on Instagram. Instagram is becoming the more important thing. So I'm like pulling for Shannon to bypass all of it. But Skip Bayless, I'll start from a little bit back. There's a picture of him with his hands in the air victoriously on a golf course.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, like, he made this, like, putt or whatever. And, like, his wife took the shot. And to me, it's like, so Skip's bragging that he made a putt.
Yeah.
Like, how much, this is a very ongoing question or whatever, but how much validation does fucking piece of shit need? Like,
well, he needs his wife to come to the golf course with him so that she can take a picture if he ever makes a putt.
It's like a fucking mother and a 7-year-old. Like, exactly. Mom, look.
Did you see that? I made the putt. Did you see that? Take the picture.
Yeah, I'm going to show everybody. Isn't that cool? Do you love me? So that was great. I don't want to read the long fucking dumb thing he wrote under it because he's plugging his wife's book, which I'm curious to read, maybe. I'll give her money. She's got to fucking put up with a lot. Yeah, so I'll support her.
Getting verbally slapped every 15 minutes.
He just comes home. I talked about this before. He comes home. Did you hear how much I gave it to Shannon Sharp today? And then reenacts the whole show. And then tells her, hey, check out this tweet I'm about to send.
She just sits there like, very good, Skip.
Cool.
You did it. You really gave it to Shannon today. Can I have $25,000?
Mama needs some new shoes. Her name is Ernestine, by the way. I think
Ernestine?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sexy.
Man. You can't make fun of that.
Yeah, I know.
That's Ernestine. That's terrible. What is she? The fuck? That has to be a family name. Or she's 115 years old.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, he is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And she has the same birthday as Tom Brady, and I think that's fuel for my theory that she is made up.
Oh, sure.
Because he's so obsessed with Tom Brady that I think he's just made up this thing that he loves, and it's all to soften his image. So we'll see when this, in quotes, book comes out. It's like him with a wig that he just wrote. He's like just pouring lipstick all over his fucking face. Like,
it's just about how he's right. Here's why I love my husband, Skip.
Oh my God. Here's another post. He posted this quote. I don't know why it's on a piece of wood for whatever reason. It's a quote from Will Rogers that says, "Never let yesterday use up too much of today." And this is a guy that will just never let anything go with LeBron James ever.
Ever.
Or Michael Jordan about how great he, like Aaron Rodgers, the list goes on and on. I just thought that was so ironic and hilarious.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Never... So he said, "Love this bit of wisdom hanging on our Oklahoma City hotel room walk from maybe the greatest Oklahoman ever, Will Rogers. This I try to live by. Do you?"
Yeah, well, then you should have it hanging in your house because not in just a hotel you've been in once.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is good advice. I bet I'd be a happier person if I didn't do this. He did it for one day.
Yeah, one day,
afternoon.
and then he's already forgotten it. By the way, I think he's from Oklahoma. All of his vacation pictures so far that I've seen are from Vegas or Oklahoma. Man, she's a lucky gal.
Wow. What a treat he must be.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Hey, babe, you want to go get steak or steak? He has no, oh, God. His favorite, he goes to one restaurant. They hate him.
I'm surprised I haven't seen him out here. I think they're in like the by the ocean, so that's why I don't see him. But got it. That'd be an interesting meet. And then the last one I'm gonna share with you. It says, "Great to be back in LA, back at the Fox Studios," and then all caps, "Back on Undisputed today at 9:30 Eastern on FS1. Jerry versus Zeke." Blah blah blah. But anyway, I just and then it's a picture of his billboard with Shannon. On the Fox lot.
Not even a good picture.
No, it's not a great picture. It's from far away. It's an old person picture for sure.
Yeah.
It's very far away. You can kind of see, like, yeah, that's them, I think. But
there's a palm tree in the way. It's not a good picture.
Yeah. Of course, over Shannon's face, there's a palm tree covering Shannon. Surprised he didn't crop Shannon out entirely. I just think it's so funny that he's like going to work, like, look at me up there, posting a picture of himself.
Yeah. Pretty good.
On his Instagram. Again, back to how much validation does this guy need? Jesus Christ.
More. That's the answer.
And I mean, we're comics. We have to be in front of crowds and get laughs and feel good about ourselves.
Absolutely.
But this guy.
This motherfucker.
But I guess his validation to make me feel better about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how deep that hole goes. God, I didn't even pay attention to the palm tree covering his face. That's hilarious. And was that intentional or was it subconscious?
There's no way he did it intentionally. He was very lucky to get a picture on his phone. He's like, this is the first one I've actually taken. Usually my wife takes them. Yeah. I have her follow me around and take pictures.
That's a picture my mom would send to me of whatever. And exactly. I'm like, what is this, Mom?
That's exactly what that is.
Moving on to what I call prick picks. This is just confusing. It's whenever these guys make a prediction, I like to riff off of that. This week, that pick was Stephen A. Smith versus Marcus Spears, talking about who in the long run is going to be a bigger, like, Philadelphia legend, Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. Stephen A. said Nick Foles. Marcus Spears, who played football, said Carson Wentz. And we were talking about this off air, but I tend to just side with professional athletes in
always.
These. And side note, I guess, from what we're talking about now, Stephen A. Smith got really upset at Marcus Spears, who, again, played professional football. And he said, I worked the beat in Philadelphia for 17 years. And, again, I don't care.
Yeah.
He played football for maybe less years.
Yeah.
But he still played football.
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah.
He 100% did the thing and can probably tell talent 100% better, because he knows what it takes.
Yeah.
Also, I will take anybody's side against Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
He's my least favorite. I'd rather listen to Skip Bayless.
Wow.
Stephen A. Smith is like... I feel like if you were like ordering breakfast... He's always like that.
Right.
He does not be like, can I get an orange juice? Yeah. You'd be like, Jesus, fuck, man. Just like screaming from the get-go.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's, God. And my first guest on the podcast brought up that he's kind of turned into a caricature of him. Like it's turned up a notch.
Absolutely.
It's like a WWE style like wrestler.
Totally. He's turned into a heel.
Which on one facet is kind of good that it's like at least he gets what he does a little bit.
Totally.
Where Skip, I think, kind of buys into it because of, again, if you look at his Instagram, he has so much ego. I don't think that he could not believe that stuff and be wrong about something over and over again. But Stephen A., man, like, it's exhausting, though, to hear that character.
Totally.
It's just like, dude, tone it the fuck down. And, like, if he's losing a little argument, he'll just get louder and talk faster, and it's just like, oh.
That's not how the world works.
Yeah, well, actually, politically these days, he can do very well for himself.
God damn it, you're totally right, actually, and unfortunately, the louder you are, the brighter
just talk
you
over
are.
People. Shut up, Sharpie. Wait, can you do another Stephen A. take? Just yell something?
Yeah, sure. One thing that I don't love, I could picture him first thing in the morning. Like his alarm goes off and he's like, "Good morning!" He just screams. He just screams at himself like, "Good morning, it's the time!" God, I hate him. He's just the worst.
See, feels good.
It does feel good.
Well, you kind of led right into the next segment, which is, we do a little fan fiction here.
Oh, perfect. That's right up my alley.
Skip Bayless and his sex life. We've talked about being married to Skip Bayless. We've talked about Skip Bayless' dog. Today I thought, because you're from Denver, pose what a day in the life of Woody Paige would be like.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess with his wife, maybe? Is he married? I would assume.
I would assume that he is married. I would assume they sleep in different bedrooms. It started because of a snoring issue. But that's been cleared up a long time ago. The CPAP machine, he could be back in the room, but he's not. They both prefer it this way. He's on a futon in the basement. She's in the bedroom. Definitely, I can see that. He wakes up every morning, and he doesn't like get drunk first thing, but he definitely takes a shot to even himself out.
Throw it in the coffee or?
No.
Just straight up?
Straight. That's the first thing he does. He hits his alarm, then takes a shot, and then goes and brushes his teeth. That's how I picture him living. I just picture him very drunk, he's a manageable, low-level drunk all the time until about 6 p.m., and then he gets very heavily drunk and no longer manageable. So he's got to... So no matter... He can have a full day where he'll be out and about. He can go to the office. He can do his thing. But by 6 p.m., he's got to be home. Yeah. Because he's got to end up on that futon by about 7 o'clock at night so that he can start the whole thing over again. But yeah, I picture him eating not good... not necessarily fast food, but I picture him eating the equivalent of fast food at your own home. Right. When you could make whatever you'd like, but you still have a PB&J. Right. He's just a bland person who doesn't treat himself because he doesn't know how. Yeah. That's kind of what I see. To him, treating himself is putting on that sport coat. He puts on a sport coat and he's like, oh, this is the big part of the day. We get to feel real good. I don't see him having an exciting life by any means, and I have a feeling that he's just one of those dudes that, he won't say it outwardly or anything, but I bet all of his kids and grandkids are like, oh, he's been praying for death for the last 5 years. And we can't wait for it.
Oh, my God. I think, wow, went real inside. I feel like you 100% nailed it.
Well, I've met him once, so I feel like I know all about him.
I do feel like he does seem drunk on air a lot of times.
He's gotta be, dude. He's gotta be.
He's also, and you're from Denver, you can get drunk a little faster.
That's true.
Up in that altitude.
That altitude, definitely.
And he seems a little, I think it's also like a mix of being older. He's got to be close to 200. So it's like a mix of the alcohol with the age. He's already slipping a little bit.
Absolutely.
Doesn't help. And then he always writes on Around the Horn.
Yeah.
Those dumb little jokes that make no sense.
They're not funny.
Never funny. Not once.
Yeah, they're not good.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of like another attention grabbing. Mm-hmm. I guess it's smart in a weird kind of branding, I guess. Like, he's the guy that writes on the chalkboard. He's the guy that writes bad jokes on the chalkboard.
Yeah, he's no good.
He's, oof. Wow.
I'm sure he's tired all the time.
Yeah.
Just a sleepy guy.
God, so he's been asleep for hours, and it's pretty early here, but he's in a time zone
1 hour ahead, so he's been asleep for about 45, 50 hours.
He sleeps for 3 days at a time.
He does seem to have like a vampire quality to him.
Yeah.
He will never die.
Wow, thanks for taking us on that journey. Before I let you go, is there anything you want to plug before you get out of here? Thanks for being on, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is fun. I don't get to talk about sports enough with people. I miss it.
Yeah, there's not enough comics
that are into
their
it.
Stuff. Yeah,
truly. As far as things to plug, I also have a podcast. It's called Sports Bullies the Game. It has absolutely nothing to do with sports at all. We just use sports jargon to ask people questions. It's very silly. If you're listening to this for sports and not the comedy, then don't listen to mine because it's all comedy, no sports.
I love it.
And I also have a new album out, and I would love for you to check that out. It's called Brain Thoughts. You can find that on my website or a Special Thing Records website.
What's your website?
My website is chrischarpentier.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Check it out. He's fucking hilarious. I can vouch for it. The best. Why did I have to say that? That almost sounds undermining. Don't take his word for it. Take mine.
I usually have bad guests, but this guy is good.
Yeah. Disregard every guest so far. Finally got somebody that's actually funny. I'll just plug real quick the Santa Fe. I'll be at the Santa Fe Comedy Festival September 12th through the 15th. And again, Fart Safari 3, Fart Hard with a Vengeance, will be taped November 17th and 20th at Cap City Comedy Club. So looking forward to that. Oh, and I got some really badass T-shirts that I'm going to drop very soon on the website. Look for that on Instagram, whatever. And also, as always, rate, subscribe, review, weigh in, tweet at me, follow the 69th Base, Instagram, Twitter. Any feedback, like you guys, some of you guys have been weighing in, like, oh, you missed this story or do that. What we hadn't weighed in on Woody Paige. If you got a guy you really want me to shit on, not physically, like I'm not a fucking psychopath, but anything.
I will. I'll do it.
Chris will do it.
Find me on Venmo. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
So, be sure to hit up Sharpie and let him know whose chest to shit on, who needs a Cleveland steamer. We're looking forward to that episode. So let us know what's up. And thanks again, Chris, for being on, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
69th Base out.